It's not easy to find something that a 500-pound tiger will not destroy. Very difficult, actually. Hello, my name is Marnita Van Hookey, and I am the zoo director at Pine Grove Zoo here in Little Falls, Minnesota. Pine Grove Zoo has got an amazing history. It actually is the second oldest zoo in the state of Minnesota, right behind Como Zoo, by about 6 years. It began in 1913 by two great horned owls, started with the park board donating them, and it has continued to grow over the years. What an amazing story it is. So when I began, which feels like forever ago, about 20 years ago, it started and I was actually a city employee, worked for the city of Little Falls. The zoo is owned by the city of Little Falls, managed by the nonprofit organization Friends of Pine Grove Zoo. That started in 2006, but my story began before that. When I started, there was a little row of cages that people could drive by. There was a bunch of animals like black bear, some fox, some wolves, pretty little actually. And it had some great potential. The nonprofit organization, the Friends of Pine Grove Zoo, decided, gosh, we're gonna partner with the city and really make this an amazing place. And wow, it certainly has. Very proud to be a part of that. When I started, the very first day, I'll never forget this. I asked the gentleman that I was training with, and I said, gosh, do you have a restroom? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Do you know where Casey's is? So if you can imagine not having a restroom, you have to plan for those things. The other thing that I thought was interesting when I started is there was no sink, there was no hot water, and the only running water in the place was a hydrant. So it was a little bit more difficult to do cleaning. So I would put the water in a metal pan or metal pail and put that on just a little space heater that was inside what I call a one-car garage, for lack of a better term. This space heater looked like it had come with Christopher Columbus back in his day. But we put it there, and that's how we heated our water to do the cleaning we needed to do. And then we would hook the hose, a rubber hose, up to the hydrant, and that's how we would spray out the animals, spray all the feces and things back to the back. That's how I began. And so it was a roadside zoo or a drive-by zoo. People could literally drive by and see the animals. As time went by, we realized we really wanted to improve their habitats and make it a more natural setting for the animals, thus enhancing their personal health, their physical health, or mental health. It was really hard to do any type of enrichment, which we're going to talk about later, when they're in a 16 by 16 enclosure. So we decided we wanted to get started with that. The city of Little Falls, the Friends of Pine Grove Zoo got together and said, let's make this different. Nothing in this whole world ever happens without community support. And we have been very blessed to have an amazing community to do that. So that roadside zoo, the little drive-by zoo, slowly but surely changed. We were able to take the animals out, put them in other facilities, different habitats, where they can really enjoy it. Some of the things I remember, when we took Yogi and Teddy, our two black bears, out of those little enclosures, and we put them on grass, the very first thing they did, they actually stepped on the grass and they looked at their foot like, what is that? They had no idea what it was. They hadn't ever been on grass. So it was interesting to watch them, because at first they were kind of hesitant to step on that grass, and then they rolled themselves green. They decided that was the coolest thing they'd ever seen in their life. The same with the bobcat. So our very first bobcat was just a kitten when I came. His name is Bob. Not much creativity there. And he grew to be 21 years old here. He was just a baby when I came, and he was the same. He actually stepped on grass for the first time and rolled until I was crying. I was so happy that he was actually out on a habitat better based for him. So that's how I began. And that's where the zoo's history began. A lot of people did a lot of things up to that point to make sure this zoo stayed open and stayed as good as it could be. And then just a whole bunch of people got involved. And wow, what can happen when some people have the same ideas about something. Truly an inspiration. People like Joe Johnson and Ray Manlick and Jerry Lochner and Denny Nearing and a whole bunch of people that got together and decided that this was the place that they wanted to put their energies, talents, and time into. And along the way, it's taken a lot more people and a lot more talents. And that's happened. We've been so blessed to be here, and I've gotten to watch it grow. So in 2006, we were really lucky. We were able to obtain state funding from the state of Minnesota of $400,000. It made state history by becoming the first non-AZA zoo to get some money. And so we got money. We were able to build a big long building that now houses all of it's like the heart of the zoo. It's the food prep areas, it's the bear dens, it's now the otter dens. We were able to actually pave all the pathways. So anybody that had disabilities, our seniors with walkers, anybody that had the strollers of any sort, it was much more handicap accessible, easier to get around. Gone were the days of the dirt paths and the mud when it rained, and we were able to pave everything, including our parking lot. And then guess what? We were able to do zoo bathrooms. So the public actually had bathrooms. Not that just we had bathrooms, but the public did. One of the very first steps was doing this amazing building that you're looking at right now. When I started, this had a dirt floor and it had rock walls, and the front that is there was actually open. And this is where they actually housed the elk and bison. This is where they fed the animals in this building. There was a large hole up above, and that's where they put the hay down into to feed them. So when I started, this looked a whole lot different. And then, of course, we had to do an admissions building. Our first admissions building was a tent with no sides. So trying to keep control of those membership papers became a real issue. And it grew into a new building, which now also holds our gift shop, which is really amazing. Kind of fun when you watch people and little ones coming and going and getting those, souvenirs, those once-in-a-lifetime things they just got to have. Along with that, the Friends of the Zoo has really helped out with donating a lot of time and talent and volunteer hours to make this place go. But it doesn't happen without the city. The city of Little Falls has really done an amazing job. And true to its form, it has built an amazing otter exhibit. Our otter exhibit is one of the new things this year and the premier exhibit of the whole zoo, I think. One of the unique things about that is that it actually has a glass tunnel. That tunnel is 10 feet long. It is underwater. And so one of only two zoos in the United States, one is in Ohio, one is with us. And the otters have an 8,000-gallon pool they get to swim in and play in. And wow, are they naughty. I had no idea that these animals could be so naughty. Every day it's a new adventure with them. Something they've done, something they, did that I didn't expect, including pulling up the drains in the bottom of the floor and wearing them like a helmet. So they're swimming with them on their head. So it drop the pool and start all over. I would have to say that's been the funnest part of this year. Watching the kids, listening to them scream, anticipation and excitement that they're in that tunnel and they're just having a blast. That's why we work as hard as we do. Along with otters this year, we were able to bring in North American porcupines. We've named them Eugene and Morris. And, I grew up on a farm and I always thought that porcupines were, very aggressive animals. And boy, I couldn't have been more wrong. It's the animals that go after these porcupines that's the aggressive ones. These two, like all porcupines, are very mellow. They definitely are different individuals. You can tell Eugene's a little more quiet and a little more docile and small. And Morris is the exact opposite. He has something to do all the time. He's busy and he's larger. And so it's been fun to watch those two grow. Not every animal gets to start with such a great story, however, and our red fox is one of those. We got a call in June from the North Dakota DNR, and they had 3 baby fox that had been illegally taken. They called us and let us know that they'd like us to take them, and if they didn't, they would have to be put to sleep. So, like we do, we want to save those animals and try and tell their story and talk about the conservation and really the reality of having people not take animals out of the wild. And these 3 red fox are true to form. They're beautiful animals. They're a little skittish, as fox tend to be, but they're amazing. And I love the story. And just as a reminder, don't take that frog out of your backyard. That's his home. And that's something we talk about every day here at the zoo. This is their animal's home. This is where they live. This is where they stay. We are an age and place. That means the animals stay here for life. We don't get rid of them when they get a little older. We take care of them until they have natural causes. We'll, send them to a better place. And last but not least, the other animal I think is really cool this year is our kinkajou. Her name is Papaya. Kinkajou is an animal from South America, so she doesn't get to come out except in the nicest of days. But she's an amazing animal. And watching this animal, she's never been outside before we got her. Watching her rediscover her world has been just kind of awe-inspiring. She looks at things so different. She's right across from Bella, our Arctic fox, or Arctic wolf. And Bella's kind of spoiled rotten, by the way. And watching her watch Bella is real interesting because I've never seen an animal trying to think through a process before like that. But it's been fun to watch her and grow and do things. And along with that, every year the season's busy. It isn't just feeding animals. That's, everybody says, well, what do you do all winter long? Well, we take care of the animals. They eat every single day. The one thing that we do, and we are going to talk about, and you guys are going to get to look at, different things that we do here at the zoo besides just feed the animals. There's a lot of things that happen in season. One of them is zoo camps. So we have a lot of things that are going on. We bring in young people. They get to go and learn how a zookeeper really is. Everybody's always saying, oh gosh, zookeeping is so amazing. And it is. It truly is amazing to be around these exotic animals. But it's not always the most glamorous. You get kind of dirty. But being able to be these animals' voices are exactly what it's all about. So along with our fundraising, we do different things, as I had just mentioned before. And one of those is operant training. So for those of you who don't know what operant training is getting an animal to do something through positive reinforcement. We have been doing that now for 8 years here. All of our carnivores are part of this program. And what we're doing with that is we try to get the animals to partake in their own personal health care. And if you're wondering what that means, all of our animals, all our carnivores, are taught to go stand on the scale every month. But it's amazing. You can actually get a tiger to go step on that scale. So we have a portable scale. We put it down, put a platform on it, and they're trained to go step on the scale and stand there. Of course, they have to have a treat, so there goes the number, right? But that enables us, if they do get sick, to be able to say, okay, if we have to sedate, okay, that animal is 317 pounds. When I started, we had to guess. So I'm not a really good guesser at all. And so I'd look at him and go, well, I don't, 200, 250? I'm not really sure. I come to find out, I'm a horrible guesser. I'm off by hundreds of pounds. Again, when I started, we weren't able to do anything with healthcare without sedation. And so we always had to sedate, whether they had a bad tooth or maybe we noticed a little owie on their leg or whatever, we had to sedate them to look at it. Now our animals are taught to open mouth when we ask them to present their paw so we can see the bottom of their paw. They're taught to stand up on their hind legs so we can see their abdomen. And in the summertime, when the flies are really bad, we actually are able to get them to come up and put their ear on the fence All through protected contact. We do not work in with these animals. We like our arms and legs attached. Thank you. But they put their ear on the fence, and you can actually put the fly spray right on their ear. Pretty amazing when you think, I can't get my cat to do a darn thing, and I've got a 500-pound tiger sitting down and opening his mouth when I ask him to. We also do things like tongue presents. So we have bears that have problems sometimes with ulcers on their tongue. And when you ask the bears to give their tongue, they actually stick their tongue out, and you can grab it and maneuver it so you can see how it's looking. And the other thing we do with them is we ask them to lay down and roll over. Now, not like your dog, but we ask them to do that so we can see if they're sore on one shoulder or on one hip. And this year, our cougar, Mary, who is our only wild-caught zoo animal here, actually did voluntary injections. So what that means is we asked her to do a side present. So she came up, she put her hip right on the fence, and we were able to do her vaccinations without having to sedate. So you wonder why this is all amazing. Well, instead of sedating them, and you know it can be stressful for an animal to be sedated, and sometimes can be challenging for the animal, we can try and do most of this without having to put them underneath an anesthesia. And that's a lot less stressful on the keepers and a lot less stressful on the animals. As I mentioned, we do this through protected contact, so we are not in the habitat with them at all. There's a fence between us. And we only do it through positive reinforcement. So sometimes they decide they don't want to go to school. And that's okay. They'll walk away, or they'll put their tail up and, turn around and walk off. That's totally fine. The very last thing we're working with the tigers is we're doing one last thing, is we're asking them to present their tails so that we can get blood draws. Once again, without having to sedate. So we've gone from having to sedate animals at every turn for every little tooth issue or little cut. We now don't have to do that. It's just truly amazing. We do have a trainer that flies in from Las Vegas. She trains our keepers on how to train, and then they implement the program. Something I'm extremely, extremely proud of. Enrichment is one last thing that we do here at the zoo. And enrichment is anything that enriches an animal's life. So imagine if you were in your bedroom and you never got to leave, and you never had any games to play or anything to do to stimulate you mentally or physically. So that's what we do. That's a challenge for us. And our enrichment can be in different forms. So it can be sensory. It can be something they like to smell. It could be something they like to see. It could be something they're looking at. And it can be a novel object. So every animal has something they like, some better than others. Our tiger's very favorite enrichment is snowmen. They love to attack snowmen. So in the wintertime, we build these snowmen out there. Of course, now we have to put the animals in their holding areas because we don't want them helping us. We build the snowmen, we put meat in there, and then we let the tigers out. And Link, our 500-pound tiger, loves that snowman. He attacks it with a gusto. So that's his favorite. We have a bobcat that's quite vain. His name is Naughty. True to his word, that he lives up to that word in every sense of the well-being. He loves to look at himself in a mirror. We'll put a mirror outside his exhibit, and he will prance back and forth on that mirror, and he will clean himself. He is certain he's the most beautiful bobcat in the whole world. And then there's other animals that like different things. Our kangaroos love tissue paper. They love to chew on it. They like to pull it apart. That's their favorite thing. And our wolves love perfume. And I mean not just a little perfume. They like the perfume that Grandma used to wear. You could smell her 3 blocks away before she ever got to you. That's the kind they like. You spray that on the ground and they are all about it. They're rolling on it and licking it. Coolest thing ever. We also do different things with sounds. So sometimes we'll put a CD outside and it sounds like a different animal. my gosh, they go crazy over that as well. And last but not least, the bears love novel objects. We will put things in bleach bottles, so we'll have a bleach bottle, we rinse it out, put some food in there, some treats, and you throw it out there, and they spend days ripping, hours just ripping it apart, getting to their food. They love balls and novel objects. Hard thing about these things is it's not easy to find something that a 500-pound tiger will not destroy. Very difficult, actually. They love tigers. Link drags every piece of enrichment into his pool. He tries to drown it. You're going to get to see that today. He loves that. And we're going to do some training with the bobcats.
Target. Good. Target. Follow. Log. Down. Sit. Up. Good boy. Stay. Very nice, very nice. Good boy. You are all done.
So with all that being said, where's the zoo going? The zoo's going to be even bigger and better than it is now. There's plans to improve the zoo. We have this huge capital improvement, and we have a map, and I call it the wish list, of course. But we're going to remodel the south half of the zoo. We're going to bring in new things. The future's incredibly bright. And again, it happens through a partnership with the Friends of Pine Grove Zoo, the City of Little Falls, our incredible members. When I started, we had 60 members. We have over 2,200 members right now. We just finished a membership appreciation day. It was incredible. Breakfast with the animals. It was so fun to listen to the members and how much they appreciated being here. So we've got an amazing story here. We can't wait for you all to be a part of that and watch us grow. And a special thanks to our community in the City of Little Falls. Doesn't happen without all of you. Please come and visit Pine Grove Zoo. We love you.